Welcome to the Grand Rapids Schools Board of Education meeting for September 9th, 2024. Ms. Lewis, could you please take the roll?
Mr. Reitman?
Present.
Lewis is here. Ms. Melton? Present. Mr. Rodriguez?
Here.
Mr. Ross?
Here.
Ms. Shackey?
Here.
Ms. Wade? Present. President Williams is excused. Vice President Davis?
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, can I get an approval of the agenda motion?
Motion. Support.
And Ms. Lewis, could you take the vote on that? Do we have to?
No, we don't.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. All right, we'll move into celebrations.
Good evening, everyone. And so welcome to day 12 of the 24-25 school year. And we are excited to introduce our Superintendent Scholar Advisory Student Reps that will be representing our board. And we've done something a little bit different this year. And so I'm going to invite Mr. Emmanuel Armstrong to come forward to introduce our student reps as well as our alternative.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Is this working? It is. All right. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Roby, Board President Kimberly Williams, and elected officials, esteemed board members. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce 3 of our Scholar Board of Education representatives for this year. You'll see it a little different this year. We usually had 2. We've added 3. We are truly reimagining student voice and what that looks like in our district. And so this year we'll get into the logistics, but each board meeting, you will always have 2 physical board members, and there will always be an alternate. And we're doing that in hopes to increase more student voice. And if life happens, we always have a student that can step in, learn, and share more within their school community. This year, have the pleasure of introducing Alethea Beddinghouse from Innovation Central. She'll be serving and kind of sitting in the crowd today. Her month will be next month. Fabiola Jujum from City Middle High School. And to my left, your right, Rima Patel from Union High School. I'll pause right there just so we can kind of recognize them and invite them. I just want to share just a brief bio for each student, but just to kind of give you all an overview. These are seniors. These are 3 exceptional seniors. They're in their 2nd year of the Superintendent Scholar Advisory Council. So we have the pleasure of seeing them quite often, but going into my 2nd year working with these young women, they are truly exceptional. And so let me get into just some real short bios. We'll start off with Fabiola, affectionately known as Fabi, inside her school community. She is a senior at City High Middle. She has attended Grand Rapids Public Schools since 7th grade. She currently holds a 4.3 GPA and is involved in many extracurricular activities, both inside and outside of school. Some of her school activities include being the co-vice president of the Senior Student Council, secretary of the National Honor Society, co-president of the Volunteering Club, and serving as a student ambassador. Fabiola is a scholar athlete at Ottawa Hills, playing 3 varsity sports, including volleyball, basketball, and running track. Outside of school, she spends her time volunteering at HELP, H-E-L-P, Pregnancy Aid Center and Family Promise of Grand Rapids. At home, she is the oldest of 3 siblings and enjoys taking care of them, doing her best to set a positive example through her actions and her work ethic. She aspires to continue to being a caretaker in a hospital setting. As a future nurse, she hopes to further her education at the University of Pennsylvania with a major in nursing and a minor in global health. To our school community, Fabiola Jujum. Next, we'll take a second to recognize Rima Patel. Rima is a senior at Union High School and is currently top 5 in her class with a 4.22 GPA. She participates in the Mayor's Youth Council, Queendom, National Honor Society, Student Council, Leadership Team, the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, and Michigan Youth in Government. Rima spends time volunteering at food trucks, through Feed America, blood drives, KSSN, Say Yes to the Dress, and Impact for Change. Please join me in welcoming Rima Patel. And Alethea Beddinghouse, a 12th grader at Innovation Central High School. She is in the Academy of Science and Technology and Engineering and Math. She is a proud alumni of Coit Elementary and Riverside Middle, having attended GRPS since kindergarten. Alethea is a member of the Student Council for 3 years, part of the Superintendent's Youth Council in 2023-24, the Superintendent's Youth Scholar Advisory Council, and GVSU Trio. Alethea Beddinghouse. I'm sorry, and she reminded me she has some more accolades on the back that I missed. You don't want to miss it. Talent Search since 6th grade. She's volunteered with JROTC, Mobile Pantry, and the Blanford Nature Center. At home, Alethea loves to cook. Her go-to meal is pho. When she is not in the kitchen or taking care of the neighbor's kids, she can be found reading science fiction. Alethea's goal after high school is to join the police academy and to become a homicide detective. Their insights and contributions will be invaluable as we continue to address our educational priorities and strive for excellence in our schools. I, along with the selection committee, are confident in their perspectives and will greatly enhance our discussions and enhance our decision-making. Thank you for your continued support, and I look forward to the impactful work that these students will share during this calendar year 24-25. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to Fabiola and to Rima and Alethea, and we have been together the last couple of years as part of the Superintendent Scholar Advisory, and they are very thoughtful and reflective and have a, they're not afraid to hide their opinion, and I think that's really important as we lift up scholar voice. I think that's hugely important, and they offer the perspective of not just where they're at, but then the perspective of their fellow students, and I think that's hugely important. And so looking forward, our first Scholar Advisory meeting will take place this week, and so looking forward to having these representatives share what's going on in their individual schools, and then also to share with our broader community what our high school students are thinking about and how our policies and programs are landing for them. So again, thank you and welcome aboard.
All right.
Our next celebration is Peace Education Week, and so I'm going to invite Ms. Jem Brock up to explain peace education and what that means in our community.
All right, good evening, Vice President Ms. Davis and Board Trustees and Dr. Roby. I am here with Kathy Siegenthaler, who is going to share with us some information about the International Day of Peace.
Hi, greetings, Dr. Roby and all the board. I've been here before. We do this every year, and we're just so happy that the school board does endorse the resolution for the schools. This year, I'll read not the whole thing because it's long, but just the one that relates to the specific topic, which is, whereas in 2024, with this year's theme, Cultivating a Culture of Peace, the United Nations marks the 25th anniversary of the United Nations General Assembly's adoption of the Declaration and Program of Action on a Culture of Peace. In that declaration, peace is not only the absence of conflict, but also requires a positive, dynamic, participatory process where dialogue is encouraged and conflicts are solved in a spirit of mutual understanding and cooperation. So we have on the IGE, Institute for Global Ed website, some materials that teachers can use. We also have, people are welcome to look up the United Nations because they have lots of youth programming that go on around this. We are also sponsoring the Cultivating Culture of Peace Vigil, which will be on the day, the International Day, which is September 21st, which is a Saturday, at 12 noon, a moment of silence, I think maybe 10, I forget how long, just a short time of silence. And it will be at La Casa de la Cobija on Division, which many of you may know of with Angelica Velasquez. And so it'll be bilingually, presented and stuff with a little bit of music short. So everybody's welcome to come to that. And I think I actually am the KSSN clinician through Arbor Circle at Burton Elementary. And some of our students will do peace posters. But everybody's welcome to send some peace posters to put up at La Casa.
What day was that? Can you repeat the date?
September 21st. Yeah, Saturday. So yeah, everybody's welcome. There'll be a little something to eat too, I think. All right. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have the recognition of new leadership and leadership new to their role, and this will be Deputy Superintendent Dr. Brandy Lovelady Mitchell, who will be introducing some of our new leaders to our district.
Good evening, Dr. Roby, President Davis, distinguished trustees and scholar leaders. I have the distinct honor and privilege of recognizing our new leadership and leadership new to roles. And so before I read the names, I want to read a passage that I hope you hear frequently because it is a point of pride. And I hope when you hear it going forward in iteration or in the fullness that you think of some of the people that I get to name tonight. It reads, Grand Rapids Public Schools has educated children in Western Michigan for more than 150 years. It's more than 1,000 teachers, together with the district's nearly 1,000 staff members and administrators, works to educate GRPS We work to educate GRPS's more than 13,000 scholars. Scholars are multiracial, multinational, multi-ethnic, and multilingual, representing more than 70 different countries in which more than 75 languages are spoken, currently offering the largest selection of school choices in Western Michigan. GRPS strives to educate its scholars from preschool through 12th grade in neighborhood schools, themed schools, and success centers located throughout Grand Rapids. That's a beautiful, beautiful testament. And some of the people that make it happen and stand in the gap for our children and our staff day to day are here in new roles or new to the district. And so I will read their names and ask them to stand, and please stand so people can love on you. We'll ask the audience to hold their applause until we're done. And if there is someone in the audience that is not listed, I'll ask their executive director or direct supervisor to assist by coming down and stating their name. And here we go. Thomas Cotto is our interim general counsel. Christy Atwood.
Wave your hand or something so people know who you are.
Stander. There we go. And then Christy Atwood is our interim assistant superintendent of human resources. Jamie Masco is our executive director of professional learning. Jennifer Williams is our director of family and community engagement. Michael Tomsma is the principal at Buchanan. Amina Moez is our interim principal at Burton Middle. Jessica Swartz is our principal at Cesar Chavez. Derek Martin is our principal and alum at Innovation Central. Now they're going to kill me because I don't know all our alum, but they will certainly let us know. You can go like this to also indicate. Harold Wiggins, Jr., assistant principal at Innovation Central. Kimberly Rowland, principal at GR Public Museum. Jennifer Mitchell, assistant principal at Riverside. Jonathan Harper, principal at Congress. There are some folks that are not here tonight, and we knew that, but we still want to call their name out of respect. Bradley Moore, interim principal at Harrison Park. Jackie Westover, assistant principal at Harrison Park. Erica Dams, interim principal at Westwood Middle. Melvin Shelton, interim dean of students at Westwood Middle. Gary Walsh, interim executive director of special education services. Aaron Purdy, interim director of special education services. And Stephanie Mowski. And so before we give a round of applause, I'm going to ask if direct supervisors might come down, just in case I missed someone. Did I miss anyone? Come on up.
I was going to say our new supervisor for social studies and world language is Eric Vanderleest.
And so with that, let's please give them a round of applause for leading. Thank you for giving them a standing ovation. They absolutely deserve it. And Dr. Roby, back to you.
Thank you so much. And again, welcome to our new leaders and those who are transitioning into new leadership roles. We are excited for you, looking forward to working closely with you and moving the needle forward. So welcome aboard, and we're going to have a good school year. That concludes our celebrations for this evening.
All right, we will move on to a report of the scholar representatives. Do either of you have anything to share? I know it's your first meeting.
Not tonight.
Yes, just a couple things. So at Union High School this week, Thursday, we have a blood drive going on, run by NHS from 7:30 to 1:20. It's open to anyone who would like to donate. And then the other thing is we have student council elections this week, Friday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on to our first public comment. This is for board agenda items only. Are there any more cards in the back? All set? Okay. Go ahead.
If there are any individuals present who wish to address the board, please fill out a public comment card located at either entrance of the board chambers. Please also read the rules on the back of the comment card concerning policy and procedure. We have two public comment sections on the agenda. The first one is public comment on the board agenda items. Agendas are located by the comment cards. The second public comment opportunity is for commenting on non-agenda items. If you wish to comment during both public opportunities, you will need to fill out separate cards. Individuals must completely fill out the front of the card and indicate the specific business on which you wish to comment. Please submit the completed card in the bin on the table at either entryway of the board chambers. Our board assistant will collect the cards and submit them to Ms. Davis. We ask the speakers refrain from making abusive statements against board members, employees, volunteers, or contractors. Speakers are encouraged to present complaints about a specific board member, employee, volunteer, or contractor through the appropriate process established under Board Policy 9450 before requesting the board's consideration. Individuals will be invited one at a time to the podium to address the board. Before beginning your comment, please state your full name. At that time, we will start the timer. Mr. Rodriguez over here will time you. A 1-minute notice will be provided by flagging the red card, and you will need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of the appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing.
Okay, we will start with Jane Neiman with the GREA, and after her, we will have Salen Turin.
Good evening, board members, Ms. Davis, Dr. Roby. Hi, you know me, I'm Jane Neiman. I'm the vice president of GREA and a teacher at Union High School. I have a couple of things to talk about on the agenda. First of all, shout out to Rima Patel. I've known Rima now for a few years, and she's very involved in our National Honor Society. And I would like to mention that if you want to sign up for our blood drive, you can come see me. I will get you an appointment. We would be happy to fit you in. There's a huge need for blood. So if you're interested, please stop by. We have a really great drive at Union. Last year, we were able to earn $500 in scholarship money. So it's been very successful, and we have some great kids volunteering and recruiting donors, but we can always use more. I would like to talk about I know that there's a closed session on the agenda later about strategies for negotiation. And I'm part of the bargaining team, and I would just like to say that it's not going very quickly. And I think one of the reasons for that is because you have contracted an outside law firm to negotiate for the district. And I feel that it would move a lot faster if we could have someone at the table who is actually negotiating from GRPS's standpoint, one of our legal counsel. I know also that Katie Brodus is someone who negotiates for multiple districts, and sometimes I'm wondering if there is a little conflict because she is negotiating for so many other districts with so many different proposals and different contracts that I think it gets a little confusing. Also, this is an additional cost to the district that should be unnecessary. And once again, I feel that it's important that the board institute a policy where bargaining meetings are either made public, where people can not speak, but at least attend and witness, or that it be live streamed so that people can see what's going on at bargaining. I think that would move things along faster and hold both sides accountable to making fair and equitable proposals and coming to a resolution more quickly. Thank you.
Celine Turin, followed by Seth Moore.
Hi, I'm Celine Turan from Grand Rapids Montessori Middle High. I teach high school. This is going into my 4th year, and I've been to board meetings for probably all 4 years now. The one request that I ask from you for purchasing is that we get all of our students rapid city bus passes. I often have students who do not come to school because they live too far away. Their parents can't bring them, and walking to school is not feasible. Walking over 1.5 miles, 2 miles. And from what I've heard and what my administration has told me is that there are many stipulations into getting a bus pass. We need to eliminate that. One at 1 mile or 1.5 miles outside of the school perimeter, their parents have to make less than a certain amount, and if they make more, you don't get one. If you're out of school and choosing to come to GRPS, you just automatically don't get one. So I have students that, especially in the winter, don't show up for school when we have a 5-day week because they're not walking 2+ miles in the snow to come to school. You could increase attendance. Increasing attendance directly correlates with increasing test scores. I know that is something that we would all like to see. GRCC has 14,300 students, and they all just got bus passes for free. If GRCC can do it with that many, and we have 13,800-ish, okay, those are relative, we can do that too, and there's no exception. I want my students in class, and the sole thing that many of my students are missing are just transportation to school because they're high schoolers. They don't get deemed transportation. That's a whole other conversation. And then they don't get a bus pass, and they're told that, well, your parents make too much or some sort of thing. Quit the stipulations. Give them all a bus pass. Let's get our kids in the classrooms. Thank you.
Seth Moore, and then Julie McBride.
Hi there, this is Seth Moore. Good evening, members of the Board of Education. I stand before you today as a father and an advocate deeply concerned with the ongoing failures in our district's transportation system, which have directly affected and impacted my daughter and countless other students. My daughter, like many others, has faced repeated issues, including being dropped off at the wrong bus stop and left in unsafe situations. These are not isolated incidents. They are part of a disturbing pattern that is eroding her trust in the very system that is supposed to protect and transport her safely to and from school. This is more than just an inconvenience. This is about the safety and well-being of our children. Every time a child is left in an unsafe situation, the impact is profound. It chips away at their trust in adults and in the institutions meant to serve them. My daughter is beginning to lose faith in a system that should be the foundation of her daily routine. What is incredibly inappropriate is that GRPS has allowed the ineptitude of Dean Transportation to persist year after year. By doing so, the district has driven our community to believe this is the best that it can be. This is what we deserve. Let me be clear. Every child deserves safe and reliable transportation every single trip, every single day, full stop. Anything less is unacceptable, and it is disheartening that we have been forced to endure this substandard service for so long. I've spoken out before about the need for accountability and transparency within our district's leadership, and today I feel it's necessary to call for a change at the very top. The fact that these issues persist, despite countless complaints and warnings year after year, is a clear indication of a lack of accountability in our executive leadership. Under Dr. Roby's tenure, we have seen continuous lapses in responsibility, especially in transportation, one of the most critical services we provide to our students. While I acknowledge the improvements that we've seen this year, they have been limited and hard fought, and they don't change the fact that the trust in the transportation system by the community and in this administration has been severely damaged. For those reasons and many more, I have lost faith in Dr. Roby's ability to lead this district. Her leadership has failed our children and our community. I urge the board to take immediate action to remove her from her position. Our students deserve better. Our community deserves better. Thank you.
Julie McBride, and then Lucas Leverett.
Hello, I am Julie McBride. You may recognize me. I've been here a time or two. I would just like to update you on my opening and Congress's opening of our school year. I started the school year off with 31 kindergartens. I don't know if you know what that looks like, but that is up to here to the middle. I was in charge of 31 kindergartners. By myself, parapro popping in and out. My teaching partner was in charge of 29 kindergartners. And she had some students that were from the Reimagine displacement, and they were in self-contained classrooms. And now they're in a gen ed classroom with 29 kids. Luckily, our principal, Mr. Harper, said, "Oh, my stars, that is not acceptable." And he said, "Well, let's move some kids around." So now all of us at our school are at our caps. I'm at 26 now because I got another new student today. My teaching partner in the other kindergarten got another new student, so she's at 26. So we're at our max again for kindergartners. And this student, again, has special needs in a gen ed classroom. It's very difficult. We were projected at 188. We are at, I think, around 225, maybe a little bit more. So the math on that's about 50 extra kids, but we can't get another teacher. And it's happening in the upper L too. We have kids that need a one-to-one, or we're in self-contained, or have been just dropped off. Here you go, to a gen ed classroom. We had a brand new teacher, 34 kids in her second grade classroom, first year teacher. We want to retain teachers, we want to keep teachers. We can't do that to young teachers. And it's just disappointing. It's the same thing over and over, and I can't understand. Like my friends say, "Why do you keep coming? Why do you keep talking?" They do nothing. And I'm like, because I'm the only voice that I can do. I can only advocate, but some point, my public servants, people that we voted into office, have to give a rep, because we're losing people. I don't know what else to do. My principal, he's doing the best he can. Parents are doing the best they can. At this point, we're probably going to have to move the kids one more time, the kids that need the most stability. And Dean Transportation, well, they're not picking those kids up from the homeless shelter or our refugee kids. They're still waiting to get a number for that. But, you know, we'll keep paying Dean. My closing statement is, my friend that spoke, Renee Howard, you can just check that off your list. You don't need to get back to her. She passed on August 31st. And I know a lot of you were concerned and you chased after her. All she wanted was compassion. She wanted somebody to see that she was dying. She was my friend. She was a dedicated GRPS teacher. Nobody reached out.
Ms. Leverett?
Order, Mr. Rodriguez, is the wall clock not functioning? Good evening, Lucas, GRPS parent and voter. I've taken a break lately from screaming into the void of your corruption, gaslighting, and narcissism, but tonight I need to be here to lend my voice condemning Dean Transportation once again. Last week, our City High band found that one of their Dean buses had just evaporated when it came time to leave the football game. Of course, that's nothing compared with the horrid tales we hear every day from parents across the city. I remind you and the taxpayers that this failed corporate welfare vendor enjoys $600 million in annual revenue. Remember that their app is made by a company making over $260 million in revenue. And the Z-Pass platform is owned by a $44 billion worldwide tire conglomerate. Remember the malicious use they made some months ago of a driver's health issues. Remember the victims of all this dysfunction and greed. These guys are essentially scam artists, delivering pathetic performance while carrying on the shameful GRPS tradition of asking everyone to just be patient while our kids' educations suffer. None of us matter to these kinds of people. We and our kids are just numbers to them. Like so much of America's rotten version of capitalism. Fire Dean Transportation, buy back the fleet, take back transportation, hire smart people to run it, not Larry Johnson and his family members, and begin to right the vast array of wrongs our families have tolerated concerning the shoddy busing operations delivered by Dean Transportation. No amount of Facebook pages, workshops, suggestion boxes, ideas, or patience is going to fix the clown show. All that is just a Band-Aid on a limb that needs to be amputated. Have the guts to do what must be done. Now, since you've been gracious enough not to cut us for 2 minutes, I will pivot to something positive concerning those band students. I shared this with Ms. Wade when I ran into her in public recently. We did fund and purchase new band equipment, and it's very well appreciated. And those of us that do the work to fill the gap that our singular educator doing a whole band by herself for 46 grand a year, while old white men in this district make more than 80 to teach kids how to squawk on a recorder in an elementary school, we fill the gap. We're her extra staff, volunteers. And we've made it very clear to these kids what they're lucky to have, and they really are, and they do appreciate it, and I wanted you to know that. As much as I criticize you, thank you. There are beautiful new drums with my drum line, and I'm happy about that. So I'll end on a positive note with that.
Perfect timing. Okay, we will move on to the Secretary's report.
Yes. The Ad hoc Facilities Committee meeting will take place tomorrow at 4:30 in the Lyman Parks Library Building, Conference Room 112. The Finance Committee meeting will meet on Tuesday, September 23rd at 4:30 in the board chambers.
Okay, moving on to committee chair updates. Can we start with the do you have a report? Okay,
Yeah.
ad hoc facilities.
All right, good evening, everyone.
The last ad hoc facilities committee meeting was on August 13. We meet again tomorrow. And we started that August meeting with an update on a task force that's been established between the City of Grand Rapids and Grand Rapids Public Schools in looking at our buildings that are no longer being used for educational purposes, and looking at ways in which we can repurpose those buildings for the benefit of Grand Rapids Public Schools families as well as our community at large. We anticipate a presentation on that at our work session this month. We also received an update on East Leonard, where that building is no longer for use for educational purposes, but is being leased to the Grand Rapids Fire Department in the short term to support their work. We also received an extensive update on our bond projects, of which there are many. I'll highlight just a few. So Coit, the ribbon cutting for the playground was celebrated last week, Friday. We hear that the kids are loving their new playground space, which is definitely a celebration. We completed a number of parking lot resurfaces this last summer, including Shawmut and Ridgemore. Innovation Central work continues in the auditorium with anticipated project completion at the end of this academic year in May. Construction on the Sigsbee project will begin in November. And we are planning to issue bids for Houseman Field. That turf and surface is long overdue for an upgrade, so we're really excited to bring that to our scholar athletes. We heard rumors that maybe we'll be able to represent both Ottawa Hills and Union in the end zone, so we're really excited about that. And community meetings are projected for the neighborhood around Houseman Field, so they're aware of the upcoming projects. Riverside Montessori is still in design and working with the academic team. And our new elementary school on the Aberdeen site has received 8 proposals for construction management services, with 3 of those firms shortlisted. We'll know more about that project in the oncoming weeks. So that is the bond update. And there was one more thing I wanted to mention. Got notes everywhere. Wanted to mention that the air quality testing passed at both Coit and Sibley for this academic year. And that concludes my report.
Wonderful. And do you have a finance committee report as well, Ms. Shockey?
My other paper.
Keep going.
All right. The Finance Committee met on August 27. We had a brief agenda. The purchasing agenda is on the agenda for this evening, so I'm happy to discuss any of the items during that time. We also received an update, really just a report on the success of our prior bond. So our 2016 to 2019 bond presentation was pretty nostalgic for me, as when I joined this board, a couple of the projects were just started. Had the opportunity to be at the opening day of CA Frost Middle High. It feels like a lifetime ago, but that was just our last bond. As well as Grand Rapids Montessori Middle School. So I encourage board members to look back at that presentation from the Finance Committee to see the success of our last bond. That's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Shockey? Okay, moving on to the City Board Liaison Committee.
I can report, but it's normally President Williams would be here to share that. But yeah, we had our second meeting this past week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago now. And some representatives from our board met with some representatives from the city, including the mayor, and had a really great conversation around the work that has been continuing over decades, really. So what we're talking about right now is just the new iteration of how are we best responding to the land and the space that we have. And so we'll be bringing some questions to the board about how we might want to prioritize the use of the different facilities that you mentioned that will not be in use for us, for our purposes for the coming years. So that will be coming up. I don't know if
Can I
Trustee
also
Eaton or-
add,
yeah, Dr.
Trustee Milton, that we want to make sure that as we are looking at this, we have some ideas around some pilot programs so that we have kind of a format of how do we want to proceed moving forward, staying very much in alignment with the work that this board and our commitment to the community has done related to our facilities master plan to ensure that we have meeting those criteria around advocacy and value to the community, a benefit for GRPS specifically, and what that might look like. And we've talked about staff housing, we've talked about housing for families, green space, park space, and then how do we repurpose those spaces in a way. And so, as you know, we have several buildings that we're going to be looking at over the next couple of years, but being sensitive to, we want to have a strategy around what that looks like, so it's not just here and there. It's like similar to what we've done with our facilities master plan of how we've engaged our community overall, of how we're looking at repurposing our school buildings and what that might look like. We want to do the same thing for this second phase of, as we are looking at repurposing buildings that are no longer buildings, school buildings, excuse me, they're still buildings, that are no longer school buildings, how will they fit into those criteria that we've outlined for our community, and that going back again to our community, holding to that commitment of continual engagement, making sure that it's iterative, and ensuring that we are getting that voice of our community.
Thank you, Ms. Melton and Dr. Roby. And moving on to Policy Committee.
That one is me, yeah. So our policy meeting just took place recently, and you'll see in our minutes today, or in our agenda, sorry, there's 2 different areas that we'll be looking. One is we'll be looking specifically at a policy that we just added 1 line to, pretty simple, and it's outlined in red. You've probably all seen it, and we'll have a time to read through that and give any feedback. But then also in the consent agenda, I wanted to make sure that people saw embedded in the consent agenda is the policy, or are the 2 policies actually that we worked on around the same topic. And those 2 policies are really just responding to a change at the state level. So we did some tweaking of our own, really made sure that it coincided with what we do here in Grand Rapids. And so we're bringing that from the work session to this session in just a couple of agenda items to approve that.
Thank you. Moving on to the foundation report.
So I'm going to invite CEO and President, Ms. Stephanie Andrews, as well as Ms. Bridget Cheney, our Executive Director, and then also the foundation president for this year, Ms. Misty Stanton, to come forward to just share what's going on with the foundation and things that we can expect. So ladies, come up. All right. Miss up here. Okay. I'm sorry, Ms. Cheney is excused. I missed that in my notes. I apologize.
Good evening, Ms. Davis, Dr. Roby, Board of Trustees. I'm excited to introduce our new board president, many of which know her, and she is taking over this year for the next 2 years, as she'll be leading, along with our vice president, which is Monica Steinley-App, which many of you might know her as well. So I'm excited for this dynamic group of women that will be sitting around the table. Misty, would you like to?
Well, I wasn't prepared to speak, but I'll say something. So first of all, just thank you for having me today. And I am a proud alumni of Grand Rapids Public Schools. Worked for 25 years for the district, and I'm excited to be in this role to continue to come alongside of the Grand Rapids Public Schools and help in any way that I can to lift our scholars up. So I have a lot to learn. This is my first time serving as the president of a board, but I'm excited about the relationships and the opportunities for us to grow and learn together. So very excited.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Often at the end, you are not here when the board gives you your accolades. And so we're really happy about the work that we've been able to see that the foundation is carrying on behalf of the district. And so, and also the work with the other 2 women that you just mentioned, knowing them very well, I'm super excited to see what's gonna come out of the foundation this year for our scholars in our district. So thank you.
Thank you. We had a busy summer doing a lot of work around kind of what the next, every year we always just kind of reset, level set, as everyone does, a lot of strategy work. One of the things I wanted to share with you guys is that we had looked at all of our donors and who they are, and I'm really excited to share that after some research, we've figured out that 66% of our donors are givers that give less than $250. So really the donors that give to GRPS are really our community. And so we're really using that theme this year as we dig into the work to support the request that GRPS will have for us this year, which we know still fall in the programming pillars of sports, arts, music, and experiential learning, as well as teacher and principal support. But we're excited to see if there's additional projects that we can help walk alongside. I know our board is really excited to see if there's another project that's kind of a statement piece that we can also help sink our teeth into. And so we've been in conversations with the district of, bond dollars only go so far. Is there ways that we can also wrap community support around them? Going to share a couple kind of celebrations of our own. Turkey Trot last year was able to raise $101,000 just in sponsorships, and we're on track already to hit that. We're at $79,500, and we still have almost 3 months to go. So if you know of anybody that wants to sponsor Turkey Trot, as you know, it's one of the largest fundraisers that we do for sports, and those dollars are directly going right back into our sports program at GRPS. What happens to also be the third, it's the largest after-school program that the district has, again, doing some research this summer, as well as it serves a third of our students overall. So when you compare the numbers, which is fantastic. We kicked off the school year by giving away $20,000 due to our friends at Shipped for teacher supplies, and 200 teachers were awarded a $100 gift card. And that was a really great, unexpected donation that we got that we turned around in a week and a half to be able to make sure teachers get. Our Foundation for the Future event is on October 10th. Thank you for those, Sarah and others who have are supporting way hosting a table. Mr. Ross, I know you are too. If you'd like to have a table at the event and invite others to learn about what we're doing, please let me know. And last but not least, we just opened our Teacher Innovation Fund mini grants. So again, teachers will be able to apply for an award up to $500 for curriculum enhancements, and we opened that just at the end of last week, and we already have over 40 applications. So I'm excited to see that. Our goal is to give away 75 of those gifts this year. Try to keep it short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Any questions, anyone, comments?
Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the partnership. And let's give them a round of applause, because that's amazing. Those of us who have been classroom teachers understand the value of having those gift cards and different things for those incidental things that you do to make your classroom just come alive, and with those little bit of extras. So every bit helps, and so we do appreciate that. Stephanie, and to the GRPS Foundation, thank you for just being such a valued partner. All right, we are at day 12. Technically day 13, but we had one heat day. So day 12 of the opening of 24-25 school year. And this is just kind of an overview of what has taken place. The opening of the 24-25 school year has been hugely successful, and we are excited to just kind of outline just a high-level overview of what has taken place over the last 12 days of school. This is directly aligned to meeting our scholars' holistic needs, ensuring equitable access, and then also working our goal is to continue to be those culture creators and creating a culture of trust, collaboration, and stewardship. And that's an area that we know that we have continual work in that. In respect to that, with communications, ensuring that we are responding very in a timely manner to the needs of our communities, the needs of our staff. We're bringing more scholars and staff together to foster better learning opportunities for our customers, which start with our students, but it also includes our staff, it also includes our parents and our community. This past year, or the past 12 days, we've hosted dignitaries for ribbon cutting ceremony at Innovation Central to celebrate the largest renovation in GRPS history. As you know, Innovation Central is the oldest school building in the state of Michigan. And if you've had an opportunity to go by there, you'll notice just on the outside of the building, the beautiful restoration of those windows. That's something that just like stands out right away. And then if you have an opportunity to go inside, we've adjusted the auditorium. And there's always the stuff behind the wall that nobody actually ever sees with heating and cooling, which is hugely important, but also just looking at those spaces. We've held a media event recently also with two of our representatives, Representative Glanville and Representative Grant, who is a former board member, who donated 2 AED devices for Union High School as well as Ottawa Hills High School, and we're going to work on making sure that our staff and others are trained on how to use those devices in the case of an emergency. And we want to make sure, obviously, that we don't ever want to have something happen, but in the event that it does, that we do have those devices that are available. That becomes sometimes an issue of life and death while we are waiting for those emergency personnel to provide that support. As you heard a little earlier about the Coit ribbon cutting, and this is a premier experience. Our Coit community, our engineers, our parents, our scholars lifted up the need to make sure that this was equitable and accessible to all students. And if you think about how playgrounds have been designed prior to this, sometimes we didn't always consider the accessibility of those who might have some physical limitations. And we are excited that everyone can participate on that playground. And it also sets the stage of other playgrounds that we are doing as part of our facilities master plan. Other things that we're doing related to communications, we have phenomenal educators in our system. And so what you are seeing on our website, as well as in other areas, is the principal profile to lift up our new educators, our new leaders, and those who have come into our system to just share their talents and to celebrate who they are and introduce them not only to their own individual schools, but also to the broader community. And how many people watch news at like 4:30 and 5 o'clock in the morning? Is it just me? Okay. So I want to invite you to watch the news on Friday morning. We are featuring Ottawa Hills High School for Football Frenzy. And you know, in connection to that, there's always a food drive. There is a basket outside. We invite you to provide food, canned goods, because they weigh more. And so bring those items between now and Thursday so that we can donate those items to support our families and our community. With respect to human resources highlights, our district, and so you know that we have been battling fill rates and other things related to staffing, and we had the perfect storm of COVID, the grand resignation, retirements, but at present we have a teacher fill rate at 90%. And I think that needs to be lifted up because people have worked really, really hard to address that. And so our district overall rate is 90%. And I want to lift up a couple of schools. We have several schools that are 100% filled, and you can see what those schools are. But I have to lift up Ottawa Hills High School. Ottawa Hills High School is at a 96% fill rate. At present, we have one vacancy. That has not happened in over 10 to 12 years. And so I want to lift up Principal Mabin and his team, as well as our HR team, because they have been hustling and working hard to ensure that our students have licensed teachers in their areas of discipline. And that is an equity issue because we have really, really worked hard. And so I'm extremely proud of the work that they have done, and that building continues to rise. And we're also doing other things to decrease our vacancy rates, and we're doing some things working with community partners and other things because we are actively working to address those issues. And as I say to my team, what do I say? We are all HR, so that means we are advocating and telling people about positions that we have in our system. As of Thursday of last week, it's 13,313, and so our numbers, we are predicted to have about 13,700, so we're a little shy of that, but our enrollment has continually increased every day as we have gotten past Labor Day. And reminder to all that count day is officially October 2nd, and so we are looking forward to being on track for that. Related to Department of Safety and School Security, we have added several things related to that. We're doing some trainings for our administrators, staff, and parents. Our safety safety personnel are moving around to support elementary buildings and concerns. And so typically, most of our areas of focus have been at the secondary level, but it doesn't mean that we don't need those extra supports at the elementary level as well. As you know, we have put detectors in all of our secondary buildings. And the first couple of days, we had a couple of hiccups, but we have worked through that, and the lines are moving smoothly. We've seen a decrease in incidents. We are doing lots of after-school activities when requested, and we have noticed some positive behaviors. And again, it's early in the school year, so we are thinking positively, but we have noticed some behavior changes throughout the district. Connected to that, we are doing some community outreach related to safety and also kind of that mental wellness. There's some things that we're doing through parent involvement, Parent Academy, our PTAs and PTOs around things that support the wellness of young people. And so you'll be starting to see some of those things this fall as our school year gets underway. Health services. And so we're working with the development of the Harrison Park Health Center, scheduled to open next year. We are continuing our construction with the Minnesota, sorry. I'm always a Minnesota girl. Michigan Department of Health, and we were awarded some additional sites. Our LOOP programs, we have 8 programs that are open as of August 26th, and that we're looking to open an additional 7 over the next couple of weeks. Questions that the board might have?
I don't have any questions, but I got to take a tour of Innovation Central. And when we went into the auditorium, I've never been in Central's auditorium, but it was beautiful. And I know they have some more updates that I did not get to see. But I also heard some fun facts that 2 presidents had spoke in that auditorium. President Teddy Roosevelt and Taft, they both spoke in there back in the day. But yeah, really cool place.
You know, and what's so cool about our district, and those of you who are either Innovation Central alum, you might know this. One of our first ladies is a graduate of Innovation Central.
Betty Ford.
Yep. And so I think that's pretty awesome too, that we have that history within our school system. Other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Roby. And next on the agenda, we have Dean Transportation's quarterly report.
As our dean team comes forward, this is part of our commitment with respect to ongoing engagement and updates from a place of transparency of the things that are going well, lessons learned, and then what might be on deck for the future. And so I will welcome the dean team to share their quarterly report.
Thank you. Good. Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Roby. Good evening, Madam President, to the board members. My name's Kelly Dean. Very honored to be here tonight. Thank you so very much. Apologize for masking. I have some low immunities. I have nothing to give, but my low immunities these days. So I'm very honored to be here. I want to start by recognizing my son Patrick, who has presented the last couple, and he is down with the flu bug tonight, so I'm sorry he couldn't be here. So you get me, and how honored that I am. So thank you. Dr. Roby, that was a tremendous report, and we hope that you and all the staff here in GRPS have just a wonderful, successful year, which I believe you were with a great commitment. We're very honored to present tonight, this evening, to everyone a quarterly report. We've prepared this in advance, and it should have been sent to you, and we're going to go through it real quick. All questions are going to be open and available, and we're looking forward to being able to share. To start with myself as a little further introduction, I may not have done this before, but my career started as an educator. And my background is that the best job I ever had in my life was 4 years as a parapro in special education. My degrees are from Michigan State in special education, and I was a school administrator in the Lansing School District 14 years before I got recruited into the school bus business. Contrary to what may be reported, we're a Lansing-based company. We are not outside of the state of Michigan. We are only here. It's a Dean family business, literally a Dean family business. Myself and family own this exclusively, and we're honored to service Michigan school districts only. We not ventured out because there's a lot to do. So my years started as a teacher who was recruited into this business because there was definitely a need for training, a need for growth and development training. I'd encourage you to please check us out on our website because we've done some things that the community wouldn't know. Little old Dean Transportation in Lansing, Michigan, taking on the federal government to develop standards for wheelchairs and tie downs and lift equipment, which is now an international standard. And it came from Little Dean in Lansing because we wouldn't take no for an answer, and they wouldn't listen. So we changed the world for the disabled community across the world. And that's how we operate every day. I want to just say that because it has to start with my leadership. And we're all about kids. And you're going to hear stories. You've heard stories already tonight about incidents and things that happen. But we are all about kids. There are 5,000 kids we transport for you every day. We care about every single one of them. And I'm not going to take anything other than that. We care about every single one of them. I wish we could have all of our drivers and our attendants come here to meet you and you meet them. They got big hearts. A vast majority of them are graduates of Grand Rapids Public Schools. They have kids in the district. Their grandparents have kids in the district. They take this very seriously, and they work very hard. You have the most sophisticated school district of all that we have in the whole state of Michigan, and we have over 100 that we service. That number doesn't matter. Every single one counts. We want to do the right thing wherever we're at. But there is no one who has developed such a broad array of great educational opportunities here. We're very proud and very honored to continue to service you all these many years. In fact, I call it a blessing. We're only in Lansing, and so different than you're thinking, so we're here. This is my son Christopher, my son Patrick. We've got key staff, Brian Thrasher, who's right behind me, University of Michigan Business School graduate, handles all of our finance. Bruce Grant, just a loyal soul who has worked for us for many years, over 30 years in school transportation. He's our general manager here every day, and he makes this operation work. Kevin Harkness, to my right, your left, Kevin is an Alma graduate and business and operations, and when he has some time, he's a coach. He works with kids, but he's also our regional manager here who spends daily efforts to make sure that we're providing the best services that we can for Grand Rapids Public School. Christopher Dean, to my left, Chris's degrees in engineering, so he handles all of our innovations. He handles everything related that he's going to present tonight, from electric buses to here comes the bus systems on board, apps for our parents. And so there's a lot here that we bring every day. As I mentioned, 5,000 students, and we believe this school year, even though it's not been perfect, has been much better than last year or the years before. Because I can tell you, if you were in my shoes, you would not have wanted to been in transportation coming out of the pandemic. It has been a challenge. And we lost half our staff during the pandemic because they had to survive. They had to survive. They had to keep their houses, their cars, feed their families. So a lot of them we've hired back, and we've hired more. We have such queued up, such great people right now that are coming on board. We have some very positive, exciting things to offer Grand Rapids. You are absolutely a priority for us, and we can demonstrate to that, and we appreciate that. Mr. Luke Steyer has been a great representative from the district, communicating with us and keeps us informed of all the goings-on happening in the district, and thank you, Luke, for your leadership, and we want to share that with everyone here tonight. So thank you for allowing the introduction, and we'll share some more here at the end, but we've summarized our startup, we've summarized some of our technology that's coming, we've summarized some of our on-time performances. they're all straightforward to you, issues that have been brought before that we want to address and tell you, has there been improvement and so on? And we'll let you decide after we go through a report. So we appreciate that. We're going to start with Kevin. He's going to give us an update on how this fall has started.
Thank you, Dr. Roby, Board of Education, for allowing us to present. So just to second what Kelly said, this has been one of the most successful startups that we've had all throughout Kent County, but especially at Grand Rapids Public Schools. As you know, you're going to get lots of changes at the beginning of the school year. This year we've had just shy of 2,600 changes. Those are simply address changes, custody situations, daycare situations, but the vast majority of those are enrollment. People who come and enroll late or change their enrollment or choose a theme school or different things of that nature. So over the last 3 weeks, we've been handling those 2,600 changes. So of course there's going to be bumps in the road. Every district has those, okay? Some may last a week, the smaller districts. Other larger districts take a little bit of time. I'm happy to say today was, at least in the transportation world, a very, very good day. The start of week 4, day 12, as Dr. Roby had mentioned. We have done everything, or are doing everything you guys have asked us to do as far as communication. We have increased our management support. We've hired Rolanda Robinson, who has been with us for 17 years as an assistant director. She works hand in hand with Bruce. Some of you may know her. She's been around and done a lot of things with the district. She's unable to be with us tonight, but she will be here for introductions at some point. Probably the biggest thing that we've done, and again, I'd like to compliment Luke for helping us with this, is implement the district web page, our web concern page. So basically what that is if anybody has a concern about transportation, this is the main place to go. Go onto the district web page and you will be able to find the transportation concern form, fill it out, and that goes to multiple people. That will go to Luke in the district, it goes to the transportation concern email, and that goes to myself, Rolanda, and Bruce. And we have made a commitment to answer those questions within 48 hours. Okay, and that does not mean that the resolution is going to take place within 48 hours. It simply means that we will have an answer back to the parent or the concerned party, letting them know, hey, we've received this, we're working on it, or here's the solution, or what have you. And we'll talk a little bit about that more later. And then the last kind of startup summary point we want to make is we are improving trip protocols. We are implementing Trip Tracker with the school district. We have done a lot of work on that, and again, working with Lucas in the district, that will be implemented here very soon. We are, contrary to belief, we've not missed any trips according to every bit of information we've had since we had some issues at the end of last school year, so those have all been taken care of. And at the bottom, I'm not going to read it, but we do have a few quotes from some of the people who have actually complimented the startup. So, Chris, could I get the next slide, please? Absolutely. One of the main things that we do is we've started the Parent Advisory Council. We've got, I'm not going to read the members' names. We don't need to take that time, but you can see the members. If you're interested or know anyone interested, there is a QR code to join. What this council does is we get together usually quarterly, and we talk about transportation and the needs of the district. What are we doing good? What are we doing bad? What can we improve on? For instance, the form that I just spoke about, that was an idea from the Parent Advisory Council. If you look right here, you'll see we've created an online feedback form. We track those results. The reason we wanted to do that is because now there's a tracking mechanism. We can't say, oh, we've had 200. No, we have exact numbers of what was done, what the resolutions were, and everything involved. And those get sent to the district and at the end of each week. Those are sent to the district, and you guys have those. We've revamped the Reimagined Transportation Dashboard. Chris will show you some situations with that here a little bit later. Metric are broken down by quadrant. Again, Chris will talk to that here shortly. The Here Comes the Bus and Z-Pass instructions have been simplified. That was a request of the Advisory Council and Lucas, and we've worked with your team internally, your communications team, to get that done, and so that is taken care of. We're tracking any runs that are what our terms are called doubled up. That means if we don't have a driver and we have to send a driver to school and then double them up, send back to a different school. We've had 0 so far this year. Hopefully that continues. Our staffing is at a point that it hasn't been in years. We are actually very well staffed. There has not been a day this year where we haven't had at least 2 supervisors and all the phones manned in the office. So that is a vast improvement compared to everybody and their brother driving and no one manning the phone. So that is huge. We're improving our protocols. We've done that internally for our substitute buses. So using the app, obviously one of the big things is if a bus breaks down or something else happens, we have to substitute that. We've made internal changes with some of the folks that are doing that and some of the protocols, and that, again, day 12 seems to be working. I'm not going to sit here and say it's perfect. There is, been a bump in the road here or there, but overall, very good start to it. As I said, we added a supervisor. We revised our dispatch situation. We've actually added dispatchers. So we heard, one of the big things is we call, we don't get through. There's not enough people there. So, we did a study and we've ended up adding a position. We've attended many events, most of them at the end of last year and some of them at the beginning of this year to help parents with all the apps and questions that they may have about everything. Improve the year-end and start year communication. That's something that we continue to work on. We have a lot of different ideas. I know the district has some ideas that we're working on. We're not ready to share those yet, but those will be forthcoming. And then, as I said, the trip trackers, the digitizing the special request. One thing that we noticed was everything as far as special trips, i.e. field trips, athletic trips, currently and still is paper. Lots of mistakes happen on paper, on both sides of the fence. Sometimes the district doesn't send it, sometimes we lose it, sometimes we input it wrong. It can happen, okay? With the new digitized system, which will be coming here, I'm hoping within about a month or so, it eliminates all that. It's all electronic, it's all work management system, so all of those things will be taken care of and will avoid a lot of those simple mistakes that have caused issues in the past.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I think one of the items that we've worked on with the advisory council is the development of on-time performance metrics. So just to summarize, the information you're seeing is not new information. It has been posted on the district's website. It's available if you go to the transportation page, and on a monthly basis, we're reporting to the district on-time metrics as it relates to the school stops. So that's the arrival at the school in the AM and then the pickup at the school in the PM. I think to confirm some thoughts that we've shared previously, our methods for this is based on telematics data itself. So I promise not to go on too long because I have more of an engineering mindset, so I could go on and on about each line here. But the point I'm trying to convey is that this is information that's transmitted directly from the vehicle. So if you start at the bottom of the page, very simply, the blue line is the path of the bus here on September 4th, 2024, pulling up to Alger Middle School. And at the top here, each of these lines are individual data points. But for us, when we count a vehicle arriving at a school, that's based on the telematics data, and that requires two items. It's vehicle location, and then there's an input for the door open. So that vehicle pulls up to the school, the door opens, so we're reading that door opening, and a stop's logged. So there is a whole bunch of data behind the scenes that occurs here, transmitted by the vehicle through our telematics system. I think I have some important updates on electric school buses, which I'll share in a moment just after Kevin shares this slide.
So, so again, we're working with the district. We're looking at future planning. Continued education, and here comes the bus and Z-Pass. That is always important to increase usership. One thing that we notice is that, there's users are up and down. It starts really good at the beginning of the year, and then it goes down, and it fluctuates around Christmas time. It gets better again. We report metrics to the district by the 15th of every month, just like we have been. That will continue. Continue support of the Reimagine plan. We are obviously a vital part of that when schools are opening and closing and shifting and kids need to be moved and buses need to be added or subtracted. So we appreciate that, and we continue to work with that. As I said, the improved field trip process we've talked about. The continued on-time or timely feedback. That, again, that is where we talked about the 48 hours, getting that back. Monthly meetings with the athletic directors is something that is new this year. Actually, that'll take place tomorrow. Myself and the middle school athletic director, Brody Larson, have been meeting, and Lucas joins us when he's able. And we are just talking about making sure, looking forward, instead of trying to be reactive, we're trying to be proactive. Looking forward to basically the spring. Middle school athletics isn't really too cumbersome in the fall and the winter, but when spring comes, it gets to be a chore. So we're looking forward to that, coming up with plans, coming up with bus routes and different shuttles that are set. So again, we can be proactive versus reactive. So again, those are happening monthly. Start of school protocols is something that we are working heavily with Lucas on. Again, not ready to share some of those, but we will. Hopefully enable to eliminate, it'll never eliminate, but to change or lower that 2,600 number. That is a huge number. Again, our staff normally doesn't change that many people all summer long, and then we do it in a 2-week window and get all the parents notified of all these changes. So we're trying to lower that number. Obviously, we're having continued discussions with the school district about cameras on the bus. That is something that's been going on. And then improvement of McKinney-Vento transportation protocol. I know I've been working with Lucas and some of the other district employees that are involved in that, and I believe we have got some ideas, and I think, again, I don't want to quote Lucas, but I think that was presented maybe today to the E-Cabinet, and we'll just see where that goes, and then we'll be able to report on that at a future date.
Thank you. Can I just add to his report, middle school sports is very important to us. We love it. We love sports in general, and we want to be able to give all kids access to their activities, particularly working with Stephanie and the foundation on the middle school sports. Chris, would you tell everyone a bit about what's happening with electric school buses?
Yeah, thank you. I'd like to take a couple minutes. At the last board update, I discussed electric school buses, and we've had an exciting development since then. So just a quick recap. Electric school buses are very expensive. It's at the start of it's at the beginning of the deployment in the industry. So an electric school bus, just to give you a feel for the numbers, is about $400,000 just for the vehicle itself. Then you add charger, installation, so on and so forth. The only way to deploy an electric school bus is through grant funding. So we've worked really hard in partnership with the district on 2 main grant programs. The first one is the EPA's Clean School Bus Program, which was announced on May 30th, 2024 for $5.175 million towards up to 15 school buses. On top of that, we worked in conjunction with the school district on Michigan's Clean School Bus Program. So this is new since we last spoke. On July 31st, there was an award of over $1.4 million towards up to 10 electric school buses. So when you combine those 2 programs, there's a grant funding pot of about $6.6 million. Right now, the worst case scenario we see for estimated total project cost is about $7.6 million. We truly feel, based on projects of similar size and scope, that is kind of a worst case top tier number, but we're working really hard with our partners that help deploy these projects to lower those costs. An example of that is this project's been approved as part of the Consumers Power My Fleet program. What that means is that hopefully we can get consumers to help with the infrastructure that's required when they bring in the electricity. So any costs that we are assuming will occur, now that it's part of the Power My Fleet program, hopefully they will help assume those costs to make that funding gap decrease. So what sorts of things are we working on? And we just met on site with all involved parties last week, Grand Rapids Public Schools facilities, the electrician, Consumers Energy, ourselves, trying to develop what's the best long-term plan. So things that we're considering right now, first of all, where is the available electricity and is there enough? What's it going to take to get it where it needs to go at the transportation facility? How much is needed? There's also some considerations in terms of total fleet size and run spare ratios. To tack onto that, the 2 funding grant programs here, one was based on up to 15 buses and the other was up to 10. We're putting together some analysis which will be presented to the district just in terms of what those models look like to limit the cost over and above grant funding. And on top of that, there's some very real operational concerns. For instance, if you assume the Grand Rapids Public Schools regular ed fleet is somewhere in the ballpark of 60 to 65 buses. The number one issue or concern with these vehicles is just keeping them available, charged, and available to use on a daily basis. There may be a scenario where 15 electric school buses is a little bit too risky of a proposition from a financial perspective, but also operationally, because if you think about it, in a new industry evolving, there may be recalls, there may be things on parts that are brand new to the world. What we're trying to put together and convey formally is that if there were a recall and all 15 buses weren't available for use, that presents an issue on the operational aspect of the fleet. So these are all things that we're working behind the scenes. The goal continues to be to deploy an electric school bus on the ground in Grand Rapids in calendar year 2025. I expect that in the next 6 weeks, we should be able to start zeroing in some true costs. Consumers has done site evaluations. As I mentioned, we met with them last week. We've all kind of determined a path forward on the best long-term plan. So we're at the point where we're really able to start zeroing in. So again, I expect in the next 6 weeks we'll be able to put some more formal proposals together with some exact numbers as it relates to the key components. And I would like to confirm, because this question has arisen, we've worked very hard to obtain these funds because without grant funding, these projects aren't feasible. They're just too expensive without that external funding. We've sought this funding for the benefit of GRPS. It is for GRPS. There's no financial gain to Dean. This money is literally making it possible to get the equipment on the ground, the infrastructure in place, available to hit the road. So I'd like to confirm that over and over. We've done this, worked hard on behalf of Grand Rapids to make sure that this opportunity exists here in the district. And then I'd like to just follow up with our engagement opportunities here for the Transportation Department as we look forward to this school year. So obviously we've spoken about the Transportation Advisory Council. We're looking forward to that continuing the school year. Hopefully a meeting to be scheduled here in the next month or two. As Kevin alluded to, the importance of the online feedback form and the transparency that brings to us and the district and administration all involved in that process. We're going to continue to support transportation technology, designated support for Here Comes the Bus and Z-Pass and the apps, and then transportation town halls. This is something that we did last school year, we feel is pretty successful, so we're looking at opportunities to schedule those items again in November and March this coming school year. So with that, I'll turn it back to Kevin for one more comment.
Yeah, I'd just like to make one more comment before Kelly closes. Is the online feedback form, what we're asking of the district, the parents, anyone who has community members, anyone who sees anything or has an issue, please use that. Okay, there are a lot of forums out there. There's social media, there's news media, there's calling us, there's calling you, there's everything that could possibly be out there. By using the online feedback form, it's trackable, and it doesn't just go to us, so it also goes to the district, so it's not like, oh, well, Dean got that, and they just, hid it away or something. It is transparent, and it's reliable, and that is what we are using as our formal method of communication. So I ask of all the parents, again, community members, if you do have an issue, please go ahead and use that method to communicate. And, anything else you want to do is great, but that would be our formal method that we'd like to use. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I think it'd be appropriate, I would like to say on Dean's behalf, to thank the advisory committee who spent a lot of time working along with us. They've had some tremendous suggestions. It's great to hear from parents what they would like to see, and so the QR code is right there, and folks should join in. And as I said, we're going to have a couple of town halls this year, spread them out. But you may see an open house there again. We had 2 open houses last year, and nobody came. Literally, nobody came. I was disappointed. I want everybody to meet our great office staff, who are tireless in their efforts and wonderful, beautiful people. So we look forward to doing that again this coming year. So that's our update. Again, as I started out, we're looking forward to a very positive year serving you. As a family business, just here in West Michigan, we service Muskegon Public, we service Battle Creek Public, we service Lansing Public. Very similar urban districts, very, very similar in a lot of the makeup. You're just much larger. Grand Rapids is much larger. As I said earlier, you're much more sophisticated in needs than others are. And we've always tackled this and take this on. You know, we've had construction here since day one. I mean, kids moving building to building. There's so many great things. This Reimagine plan is just fantastic. And so we're looking forward so we had let's just say we got a good, okay start. We're only going to get better. Most of that is that we've had a good array of new applicants coming in to work for us. I'd want you to know it takes us at a minimum 42 days to train them before they're legally able to go out on the road. Where, you know, we compete against like the Home Depot. You can interview today and get a job tomorrow and get a check. We can't do that, 42 days. We're paying people to get trained ourselves. We're paying people to train them. So, because they can't leave another job to come to this job. But we believe our folks, this is an advocation for them. This is something special. And we advocate, or we advocate with them. This is about changing lives of kids, making a difference in lives of kids. You're part of education, and I say daily, we're the transportation side of education. And these drivers in attendance are just outstanding. They're a wonderful group, committed to our community, and we have some new folks coming in, and I think the number is about 16 right now that are coming in. So Kevin said we're been pretty close to fully staffed every single day. So we're going to stop. Thank you for the opportunity to present, and I believe that we would be able to answer any questions that you have.
Board colleagues, any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. It's very informative, and appreciate the data points as well. I'm a very data-driven individual. But with that said, with some of the testimonies that we've heard regarding some of these mishaps, and you noticed, or you made the statement that you guys are meeting now quarterly. Is there a way that can perhaps maybe increase? Is the quarterly too big of a gap that reporting issue to issue maybe is not getting through? Because there seems to be a disconnect somewhere.
Yeah. So we are committed to come to present to you on a quarterly basis.
No, I'm talking about with the.
And we're the advisory committee. We can meet. Go ahead, Kevin. You were going to.
Oh, no worries. From our side, we are willing and able to meet as often as need be. Part of the issue is when the group is getting everyone's schedule together to meet. But again, if it needs to be monthly, bi-monthly, weekly, I mean, we're happy to do that with the parents. That's just something that, you know, I can talk with Lucas about, and, you know, he kind of heads it up from the parent side and the district side and see what you know, they feel that would be good, but I'm always willing to meet with folks.
That's good to know. I have a question regarding the device that I'm not sure if it's active yet, but the device that that you presented on that can track students getting on and off the bus.
Yeah, Z-Pass. Yeah.
Does that also have the capability of maybe alerting or beeping if a student gets off the bus at the wrong stop?
It does not currently, but your thought process is a good one, and we're working with the vendors to understand how we could put that in place. Most likely, the solution for that looks like a vehicle-mounted tablet that obviously we'd be syncing with the routing system to know exactly when and where students are to get off. So currently, no. The card just simply swipes and can provide a notice to the parent if they elect to receive that. But you're absolutely right. That is a product down the line in the vision path for sure.
Thank you. Previously, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, you guys presented on the electric buses, and there was conversations around the charging stations and potentially that the district would have to either be part of paying for that. Is that correct? Do I have that mistaken?
I think the message probably was that this grant funding is a really good start. It gets all of us a long way there, but there may be some costs that are not covered by those grant funds. I think that's where we're working really hard on the partnerships with like consumers through Power My Fleet, opportunities for some of these costs that are going to be there to be covered. And I expect, you know, in the next 6 weeks, we should be able to start zeroing in exactly what the project costs look like versus what the available grant funding is. So I think that probably was the message of, hey, this is a really good start. There's great grant opportunities here, but it may not make it entirely free per se, at which point we know what we're working with, then we'll be able to figure out how we cover those those costs over and above what's paid for by grants.
So yes. So then my follow-up for that is you just expressed or just showed us that you guys just received another $1.something million in grants. Could none of those funds be used to build the stations along the way as you continue to collect or buy electric buses?
No, it can all be used for the project. I think, and I apologize if I'm not explaining it properly, all those funds are being put towards the project. The project itself still may cost more than that. Those don't fund the project at 100%. We're trying to get it to fund 99.9%, as close as we can, but by current estimates, it will not fund the entire project.
Okay. My last question for you is regarding you made a statement that, you have concerns in regards to a larger fleet of electric buses that might have some form of a recall or an issue that will cause, the bus count or transportation to go down. What is your plan with the current gas buses that you have, and could you not just substitute one of those if an electric does go down, so that way there is not a disruption to our scholars in our system?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what we do right now. As part of these grant programs and accepting funding, the diesel school buses have to be retired within 90 days of taking the new electric. So if there's 10 new electrics into the fleet, 10 existing diesel units have to come out. So for 90 days, there will be a window which we can do exactly what you're saying, plug in an existing diesel if something happens to electric. After 90 days, though, those have to essentially go and be crushed formally with documentation, so they will not exist any longer.
And that's a result of the federal grant, or are you saying this is a state?
Both programs require existing buses to be displaced by new electric buses.
So it's a one-to-one exchange?
Yes.
Because of the federal grant?
Both the federal and the state require that. Yep, and that's very common with almost every grant program you see. They're trying to get the oldest diesel buses off the road, which we are working on to do that. The fleet is not that old, so the target buses they're trying to get off, we don't have 10 or 15 of those, so we may have to dip into a few newer buses per se. But that is the concept of, for every new electric bus in, there is one diesel school bus that has to go and be scrapped. You have to cut the frame rails, blow a hole through the engine, and show them all the pictures. So they'll never be able to used again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there an end date to when those funds need to be?
I think the performance period is 2 years. I think I'd have to look, but there are purchase orders required by the end of October, maybe the early part of November. So we've been working hard through the whole summer, honestly. These projects, they take a long time, and the mistakes can be very expensive. So you want to make sure that we go at a slow and steady pace and have all the parties involved, which really we've made some good progress with last week's important meeting with consumers, us, the district, everybody there. But our goal would be that this fall that we're able to present formal numbers, figure out the funding gap if there is one. We're trying to minimize that as much as possible. And then purchase orders will have to be in place end of October, early November.
Any other questions?
Yeah. One of my questions is about the service that we hear about in our emails, and a lot of times it's like a customer service complaint where like a bus driver missed a stop or didn't listen to the kids or things like that. And so I don't necessarily have a question, but a ask is that possibly we get presented on what types of professional development our bus drivers get and how they're held accountable for the service that our families deserve. A lot of times it's like right at the service where our parents are not being satisfied. And so I'd like to hear more about what types of professional development your staff receive.
Well, I really appreciate you bringing that up because rarely we had the opportunity to talk about that. Our drivers and attendants are as highly trained as anyone in the country. we've been awarded the top school bus company in America because of our training that we've developed. You know, we're talking about 150 hours of dean mandated training. And some of these relate to Crisis Prevention Institute. We always reach out to our school staff to help us when we're dealing with behavior challenges on school buses. So we're working in unison with parents. We have basic healthcare management that we develop through a community college level that everyone goes through, which would start with the basics, first aid and CPR. Would you imagine in our industry, it's not a requirement to have first aid and CPR? It is at Dean. Everybody has emergency management training we provide. And then we get into some very high level. Our special education drivers and parapros are gonna receive 200 hours of Dean mandatory training. And we've ever said that before. We're very proud of that. You know why? Because it's to do the right thing. And we have some very complicated, challenging situations within the 5,000 riders that we have. And so we need that level of training. So
I think if I can just follow up, I think what Trustee Wade is asking for, and we can certainly give this, is a summary of like the type of courses that are offered. Is that what you're asking?
I'm interested.
Okay, so we can certainly do
I
it.
think maybe at a
Future
presentation.
we could be glad to. We have a whole repertoire of training with all those hours. So, but that's important to us. We hire good people and then we train them from there. Okay.
Yeah, I do remember last report out, you were saying how out of,
Thank you.
I can't remember, but a very small amount of people actually, you know, go through that interview process and are actually qualified and get the job. So I know you guys are very particular. But, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. We still, even though we're getting applicants, for every one person we hire, it takes 10 applications to see that they qualify. And that's really background checks and everything related to driving records and background checks. So we don't hire anyone that doesn't meet our standards. So one out of 10. So it's a very high number of applicants that we need to get to be very picky and selective.
Thank you. My last question is the sophistications that you're talking about in GRPS. Can you elaborate on what the differences is between our district and other districts that are so sophisticated? I think I have an idea.
Yeah, well, there's no one in our entire repertoire. School districts have museum schools, have zoo schools, have theme schools, such very fantastic opportunities. The number of students that go half days and need to meet a shuttle to get, so, I mean, we're moving literally constantly. In most cases, there's no room for construction. There's no room to have an accident. There's no room for a snow day, a snowstorm, snowbanks, the parked cars, all the things that we have to wrestle with every day. But I'm just saying, it's really amazing. Kevin handles it something, and Bruce, you can comment on this as well.
So just to give you a high level from our point of view, most school districts, you have, again, whether you have 1, 2, 3, 4 high schools or middle schools, you go out, you pick up the kids, you take them to the high school, the middle school, the elementary school, whatever, the particular need is. In Grand Rapids, as you know, with the theme schools, students who live up here may go to school down here or vice versa. So now you're integrating hub sites, you're integrating multiple tiers, and to do that, there is a lot of moving parts. Some kids may have multiple shuttles they have to get on. Some kids may have, get picked up at a first tier time and get off the bus at a third tier time to get you from here to here. To my knowledge, you GRPS are the only district that has anything like that, at least that we deal with. Everything else is, like I said, pick them up, go to the elementary school, go to the middle school, go to the high school, you're done. That sort of thing. So it makes it very complex and very complicated. Again, it's not undoable. We do it every single day. But when one thing goes wrong, the trickle-down effect is what happens. If we have a tier 1, if we're out driving and we go to a tier 1 student's house and he takes an extra 10 minutes to get on because of what have you, he forgot his coat and backpack inside and he needs to go back in and get it, okay? Now we're late all the way through tier 3. because it's going to trickle down, the hub sites. Then our hub buses all have to wait to get there. So that bus who has kids that go to spread out around the district, okay, have kids on it. So now all of those buses are late by 3 or 4 minutes. So one student, one red light, one accident, one traffic jam affects the entire system. And that's part of the thing, again, so as we say at the beginning of the school year, we have 2,600 changes. That changes, so again, I may come in and change my student's address, but the 30 other kids on the bus, they just all got changed. Tomorrow, someone else on that bus changes their address, they just got changed again. And that happens over and over and over. So again, the first few weeks of school are challenging, and you're going to have that no matter where you're at. But here, especially because of the complexity of your system, makes it. So again, I hope I answered your question to the best of my ability, but that's kind of at the high level. Anytime you would like to see it in action, come on down. Come on down. We'd love to show you. Well, mine either. It's his brain. It's his brain that makes it work.
Good job.
For all the work you do.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for the presentation tonight.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight. We hope that all of you have a wonderful school year, and we're looking forward. I say also every day, we're in the service business. We work for you, we work for the kids, we work for the families, and we're looking forward to all having a great school year. So thank you also very much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to move into our action items for tonight. So the first one is the Peace Education Week resolution. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Support.
All right, all in favor of approving the Peace Education Week resolution, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Motion approved. Purchasing agenda. Before I ask for a motion, are there any questions for Jen? She had said she would take questions at this time.
Yes, I do have a few questions about the purchasing agenda. My first question is under general fund, item B, B5. So it's permission to add a blanket order for temporary employee services, primarily for administrative employees for the 24-25 school year at a total cost of $550,000. I'm just wondering what those temporary employee services would be. What does that all cover? And yeah, just some explanation about that.
All right, I'll do my best, and I'm seeking out Ms. Cribbs. I see her, and yes, thank you, in the audience. So generally, in June or July, we bring the entire blanket order to the board for approval. This was one item that we approve year over year that had not yet been designated to a provider. And so at this time, OtterBase was selected to provide temporary employee services for administrative employees. So we're talking about building level administrative support. Am I seeing nods? Yes, great. Yep. And like always with temporary services, the minute that a vacancy is filled in the district, we're able to draw down on that contract.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And then secondly, this is not so much a question for Trustee Shockey, but to Dr. Roby. For under section other special funds, B1, it's consulting services to support the district in development, design, and implementation of systemic strategies to reduce chronic absenteeism for the 24-25 school year at a total cost of $99,000. And I see that it's funded through 31A funds. I wholeheartedly support that. I'm just wondering, just thinking about like a top-down kind of systemic approach to attendance, do we have MTSS groups in every school that would kind of be the the folks who would implement this kind of work from this consulting services, because I know that that's something that I haven't necessarily seen. I could be wrong again, but I'm thinking of like how are the building how is the building supporting attendance issues individually versus kind of taking a district-wide approach to that work?
So with respect to individual buildings, that's a little more challenging to say, this building's doing this building is doing that.
Right.
But we try to ensure that we do take that multi-tiered level of support of having less than 5 as a general kind of concept. And so what the less than 5 program is, less than 5 days of unexcused absences across our district, because we know that that has impact on student achievement. And then each school, as part of their school improvement plan and looking at their own individual data, may create different incentives through PBIS or other kind of structures and programs to support that, and then we'll access some of these resources.
So I guess who would be covered under the consulting services? Would it be a district leader, I'm assuming?
Not necessarily.
No.
It might be programmatic pieces, it might be incentives, it might pay for someone who is tracking some components of like the reporting of
Right.
that. So it's not necessarily a position, it's other things kind of folded into that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Support, anyone?
Support.
All in favor of moving the purchasing agenda forward, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, purchasing agenda is approved. Moving on to 10.3, certified delegates for the Michigan Association of School Boards Delegate Assembly.
I speak to that.
Sure, go for it.
Every year, the Michigan Association of School Boards has an assembly. This year, it's going to be in Lansing, and I have been fortunate enough to be a delegate for the last, I think, 7 years. But we do have more than one delegate, and I probably will not be going this year. So I think we can assign, or somebody can volunteer. I think we have up to 3. So if anybody wants to do that.
And this is on October 24th?
Yeah.
At
and
7
it's-
p.m.
Yeah, it's an evening meeting. It goes for 3 hours or so. Every school district in the state has, based on the number of kids we have in school, how many delegates we have for the convention. And that is the night we discuss policies and our plans for the year.
Anybody know if they're available that night?
Where is it held?
It's in Lansing.
October 24th?
We will not be gone, Jose.
I think we can like maybe send you an email to figure out who can go from that after schedules are being checked, so we're not taking
Oh, it
that
has to be-
time up here.
Who can go? Is that the question?
I may be able to.
Concerned about who can go, is that it?
No, Julie was just saying that it has to be voted on. It can certainly be discussed at the work session, but it has to be voted on. So I just want to make sure we have a clarification on designating who the person is can be pushed down the road a little bit, but just that we want to have a delegate.
Yes, we do. want to
Okay, so we need a motion stating that we want a delegate at this assembly.
Motion on the floor to have a delegate at the assembly.
Moved. Support.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. So if we could get that on the agenda for the work session to figure out who will be going. All right, moving on to bylaw 1150, board officers, and this is the first reading. Are there any questions on this? No. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, this is just, we could vote to skip, but right now we're just reading it through, and it's just the addition of the red fine, despite 4 pages. Yeah.
So we could just vote on it instead of skip the next reading? Is that what we talked about at the work
That was a
session?
different one.
That was a different one?
We're just, yes, we're just voting on the first reading, but there will be a second one.
I move to support the bylaw 1150, first reading.
We have a motion. Is there support?
Support?
Okay. All in favor of moving this first reading forward, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay. We can now move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda tonight?
Motion for approval?
Is there support? Thank you. All in favor of approving the consent agenda? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. And now we will move down to discussion items. I do not believe I have any announcements for tonight. And let me just make sure there's nothing in here. Okay, we will move into our second public comment section. Are you going to read again for us, Ms. Lewis? Okay, go for it.
If there are any individuals present who wish to address the board, please fill out a public comment card located at either entrance of the board chamber. Please also read the rules on the back of the comment card concerning policy and procedures. I will skip some of them because it's
Yes,
too
just the
late to worry
highlights would be
about.
great.
Right. We ask that speakers refrain from making abusive statements against board members, employees, volunteers, or contractors. Speakers are encouraged to present complaints about a specific board member, employee, volunteer, or contractor through the appropriate process established under board policy. You will be invited one at a time to the podium to address the board. Before beginning your comment, please state your full name, and at that time, we will start the timer. And you will be warned after 2 minutes that you have 1 minute left, and Mr. Hope Rodriguez will be flashing his red card here. And you need to complete your comment time upon being notified that 3 minutes have passed. Board members do not respond to public comment. Concerns will be brought to the attention of appropriate staff. We value your input and thank you for sharing.
Okay. First up, I have Lucas Leverett, followed by Ned Andre?
Lucas again, GRPS parent and 24-year marketing, branding, and communications professional. So lately, you stumbled into my territory. For as many times as some of you up there will condescend to those of us out here, it's my turn to talk about something I'm an expert on. I've forgotten more about my expertise than most people working for this district have ever learned. So let's have a talk. Some time ago, I found myself yelling at my YouTube window watching you debate overpaying an out-of-state contractor to do enrollment marketing for well over $100,000. Mind-numbing. An infuriating thing to watch as someone with my experience and talent. I do appreciate those who argued against the foolishness of spending that money that could have been used to give raises to teachers instead. Then you went and spent money on another waste, billboards and yard signs, promoting a broken product. You invested over $10,000 for billboards, and that's just 1 month. Most of them have run for multiple months. And you spent $2,000 on yard signs, plus hours and hours of payroll for multiple employees to place them, and then they had to remove them after I reported your blatant violation of city codes with your right-of-way placements. I don't even want to know what you spend on all those YouTube ads that are played to people in the wrong language. How many people do you think made a U-turn on their way to join the exodus departing GRPS just because they saw a billboard? I'd bet money it's 0. If I had conjured up this campaign, I'd expect to be fired. If anybody who worked for me did the same, I'd probably fire them. It'd be funny, if not so misguided and wasteful. Like Ms. Melton said during the marketing debate, get your house in order first. People are abandoning this system because the product and the brand experience sucks, not because they didn't see enough billboards. And with the balance of my time, it appears that the Dean boys didn't really listen to the words that came out of my mouth. They are Michigan-based, no doubt. Their choices of contractors are not. If they don't like my characterization of them, they can publish their revenue, profit, and salary tables. Since they have access to our tax money and grants in our name for electric buses, they can turn around and rent back to us. And also on that slide that they breezed through about late statistics, even 1% of our students is 50 late kids not learning and disrupting classes when they arrive. And Mr. Eatman, imagine the cool features like the one you suggested that could be developed locally by brilliance in our own workforce rather than never happening at the hands of that $44 billion global conglomerate that owns ZPass. That's the stuff. Smarter choices.
Ned Andre, followed by Jolene Andrews.
Good evening, Ned Andre, Grand Rapids resident. I've just come down to say thank you to all of you, Dr. Roby and the board. I've been reading a lot of good things about Grand Rapids Public Schools. I've seen enrollment up. The numbers you went through today, amazing. My particular high school here over Ottawa Hills, I was really encouraged to see the media, that media production center that went in there, how exciting that must be to kids, and then to see the superstar power that was in the commercials, you know, to see Marvin Sapp and these other great guys come back and say, hey, support Grand Rapids Public Schools. So those are amazing things. And most of all, I'm really encouraged by the redevelopment plans for the building use, the land use. I think that's an incredible opportunity that you have. I like the deliberation. I like the thoughtfulness. So I see some very exciting things coming in the future for Grand Rapids Public Schools, and it's because of all your hard work. I just came here tonight to say thank you to each and every one of you. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Jolene Andrews. And Dee Jones is up next.
Jolene Andrews, Southwest Elementary. I saw a few videos about what a success the first day of school was. As a teacher, I'd like to provide some insight on what the first 3 weeks have actually looked like. Our contract states that the board will provide all materials required to complete duties as assigned, including but not limited to textbooks, curricular materials, appropriate technology, and required software by the first week of school or after the first week of the new semester, if applicable. Let me point out that this timeline is not good enough, as teachers should have their materials before school starts. I would dare to say by August 1st, as that's the first day of building access. Even with the contract being this lenient, the district still does not meet the deadline year after year. Our materials for Studies Weekly were delivered before school started. Excellent. Mystery Science kits were delivered the Tuesday school started. Okay. Math textbooks, some in the correct language, some not, were delivered the first Thursday for K-5 teachers. Some of them. Some teachers still don't have their textbooks. Textbooks and teacher guides for the new math curriculum were not ordered at all in Spanish for our 6th grade students, and the teacher was told to be patient since it's a busy time of year. Number Corners materials were not delivered in time for the training that occurred before school started. Some teachers still don't have their materials in Spanish, which is the language of instruction. Language arts has been a mess. Most teachers at my school are piloting a new curriculum. We're appreciative of the opportunity because the last curriculum was not a good fit for our program, but this curriculum has been arriving day by day, and it's jumbled and mislabeled in many, many boxes. Boxes are delivered to classrooms daily, and even the students are saying, "Oh, no more boxes." The boxes are full of materials from different modules, and teachers don't have the time to sort through them and figure out what is missing or if they have everything they need with their limited planning time. Teaching is difficult enough to begin with, but when we are not given the materials we need in a timely manner and when the language of instruction is not considered, it becomes even harder. When new curriculum is given, it needs to arrive before school starts, and it needs to be organized by someone at the district, or the teachers need to be compensated for the time it will take them to organize their materials. Unfortunately, I say all of this knowing that someone will tell my school's ED to contact my principal, and my principal will be scolded for not getting us the materials we need or for not saying we didn't have them. I promise you I'm not blaming my principal. I know she's been inquiring about them. She shouldn't even have to. It's not her job. She doesn't run the service department. If the first days of school were a success, despite it being a busy time of year, it's due to teachers working their magic despite not being provided with the materials we are contractually promised in a timely or organized manner. I'm also shocked to see that Southwest Elementary is listed as fully staffed. We currently have 3 long-term subs in place of certified teachers, 1 in special ed, the students who need certified teachers the most. We also had to close 2 classrooms this year because we didn't find and hire the staff. That is not something that should be considered fully staffed. This closure of a kindergarten classroom is going to affect our program for years to come. We had a candidate and HR wouldn't give her credit for her previous years. She was certified and bilingual, and we turned her away. Thank you.
How y'all doing? I'm D. Jones, passionate entrepreneur and visionary. First of all, I'm very excited for the new school year. I'm excited for the students to be able to go back to school and be able to build and be able to get educated. But I'm really excited about you guys investing in the esports and me guys helping you invest in the esports and bringing the people here that can help improve our infrastructure, our educational system, and create those additional opportunities for our students. I want to tell you guys a story. So I developed a Youth Justice Influence League, which I've let you guys know about and spoke to you guys about of me working with kids directly in partnership with the 17th Circuit Court. I work with kids directly on probation and surveillance. And I've developed this esports league. I've got kids to get on the floor of the Gold game. We brought kids to the Lions facility. Eventually, I'm going to bring that signed football that I got from the Lions so you guys can see that. But today, an educator who works at a school in North Carolina contacted me today and let me know that he wants to duplicate the esports league that I developed here in Kent County to also help there in North Carolina. I learned that there's 100 counties in the state of North Carolina and that he wants to connect me to the chair of the juvenile services there in North Carolina to actually really create an economic boost but reduce recidivism and help improve our school districts across the nation. And so when I connect you to people, I've invested my time. Sometimes my car broke down and I had to get on the bus, the Greyhound, and go to different events. And I spent thousands of dollars to go to these different events to invest in my community. You won't find people like D. Jones that really will invest into events and communities so they can see real change for their community. And I really spent thousands of dollars. I even was at an event earlier. And I'm excited for the ribbon cuttings because today I was in a room with the vice president of Fox 17. So I'm really excited for the ribbon cutting because I let her know about that. So I can't wait to put the city on, be the pioneer that I am, and really be able to show the world we can do because I know economic change is going to come. I know our school district can be able to improve our district, our education system, and make it attractive, make it a place where students belong, people belong, we could reduce recidivism, and we could come together and partner together and do cool things for our community, do cool things for society, and lead and pioneer. I've never been a follower. I've always been a leader my whole life. I've never really been the type of person to follow. You always live by the heart and tone of my own heart and the beat of my own drum. And so I'm just very excited to be able to help you guys, continue to connect you guys to esports organizations. I even connected this guy in North Carolina to Epic Games, and Epic Games is a $32 billion company. He connected with that guy today, and I'll be connecting him with the chair of partnerships and education for Epic Games to speak to him about the school district. And I've already connected you guys to the school district, Epic Games, but I'm excited. I'll be back.
Thank you. Jamie Duffy, followed by Corey McLikely. Likey? Sorry if I pronounced that wrong.
Hi, my name is Jamie Duffy, and as a behavior specialist, I often asked myself, is this really my job? Yes, there were a few different reasons I might ask this, but it was usually because I'd found the career that my heart was searching for. I love the students at Grand Rapids Montessori Middle High. I love them so dearly that I would spend time outside of school thinking, planning, and preparing for when I would see them next. I was building relationships with the youth in our city, our community, and our future. At the core of these relationships, I wanted my students to know that all of the eccentricities that make them who they are vital to this world. Their lives matter because of who they are on an individual level. No two people's lives can contribute to this planet exactly the same. We need each individual story, each individual life. In June, I met with my department leaders here at Franklin campus to learn that my position would not be continued for the upcoming school year at GRM Middle High. Over the next 2 days, I was astounded by the amount of communications that were made to administration. Phone calls and letters from students to the school board was evidence that our students knew their value and that they were not going to settle for this. To remove this position from our students was not only what felt like a personal attack, but also a robbery from our students. The fight for me to stay was for the position itself. Our building administration did not appreciate nor respect my role with students. It felt that they wanted me gone. Our students need more support while at school for many reasons. I believe that when preparing for adulthood, people must learn their intrinsic value. Learning the power of community and relationships is vital for success. With this, our students need an adult to trust. That was at the heart of my role. If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you see that human beings may get stuck in the level of belonging and relationships, and this makes it very difficult, if not impossible, to move up the pyramid into achievement and self-esteem. My hope was to step into this gap so that a sense of safety and belonging would allow our students to focus on their academics. Behavior specialists and youth advocates are the relationship professionals in the building. When I refused to hold detentions because it was not my job to be a disciplinarian, I was met with contempt. When I was requested by a student to talk during lunch because they were hit by a parent the previous night and had no other time to speak about this, I was again met with contempt. When a student asked to eat lunch in my room because they were unable to eat around others due to an ongoing battle with anorexia, there was more contempt. When a student requested that I stay with them during lunch because they no longer wanted to live, I was met with increasing contempt. When the administration questioned me about my job, I was disrespected and treated as a non-professional. I was informed 3 days before the end of school, and this was due to budget. I soon found out that the principal was aware of our budget since March. This was a personal decision. Sorry. I knew my confidence in administration did not return when sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. Corey McLikey and Sarah Sack-Smith is up next. Thank you. McLeachy. Corey McLeachy. Is he here? Okay. Sarah Sack-Smith, followed by Mustafa A. Asalom.
Hello, my name is Sarah Sack-Smith. I hold a bachelor's and master's degree in social work and was the former PTA president at C.A. Frost Elementary, where my children attend. Not only have I been a part of tough conversations with leadership, but I have brought many positive opportunities and even national grants to our school community. My husband actually also spends 4 days a week coaching football. My family has been invested. Typically on most things, I reach out via email asking for clarification or direction on topics. I've learned many things through these communications. Best practice isn't always followed. I have been aware and brought up many situations at my children's school due to an uptick in police dispatch and no communication with parents over the last few years. Despite asking since March with repeated requests in writing since last school year, we are now only getting a meeting, and it's this Friday. Recent email communication still shows the unclear direction and confusion of this offered meeting. These are failures to respond in a timely manner, failures to be proactive in letting families know about incidents, even if they turn out to be false alarms. We see evidence from other districts that it's possible to be timely and proactive in communication. Comstock Park recently got new safety and security systems. Kennewa Hills recently focused on mental health and partnered with Pine Rest for an amazing opportunity. We cannot address safety without focusing on mental health. Meanwhile, in Michigan, public schools are facing a $125 million reduction in mental health funding. We've recently seen how surrounding public districts are transparent when it comes to weapons and threats. Rockford, an immediate contact to parents acknowledging a gun situation. East Kenwood and Byron Center sent emails to parents immediately when threats and social media discussions hit. I decided to come straight to the board on this, rather than yet again starting another email chain. On Saturday, on Facebook, I read a post from a parent at a GRPS elementary school reporting that they had heard from their 8-year-old child that a youth approached them near the school during recess and flashed a gun. That was last week. No parents were alerted. Is this true? My gut sank yet again. I too have an 8-year-old. Another GRPS school where parents do not have clarity on situations involving safety and security. Why are these things unacceptable for children in other districts? What would you want to see differently if this was your child or your grandchild's school? A parent shouldn't have to go to social media to ask for clarification on why a weapon was flashed and there was nothing informing parents. For the parent to comment that the school was aware of it and to hear from other parents that they received nothing and heard nothing is appalling. This is not transparent. Was there a code red, a code yellow? Was GRPD even contacted? A different approach to safety and security needs to happen. For starters, let's start with transparency and communication. You mean to tell me that if a young adult walks past my children's playground, flashes a gun, you don't notify parents? Board of Education members, I am begging you to reevaluate how and when things are addressed with parents and your staff. Protocol should be clear and expected where follow-through shouldn't be questioned. Communication that is proactive and timely should be the norm. These are ingredients to reestablish destroyed trust. Mental health should be the core driving force for all safety. Why do I have to hear and see other local county districts and say, wow, that isn't happening for my kids, our kids?
Mustafa A. Salam. Followed by Robert Womack.
Good evening. My name is Mustafa. I represent not only the indigenous community of Grand Rapids, but the indigenous community of America. I am a professional in education, and I have been personally involved in assessing the development and growth of our education system here in Grand Rapids, of which I'm an alumni of, since Bert Blicky. And so I initially wanted to come and compliment you for some of the progress that's been made here in terms of over the past maybe 20 to 30 years, and given what you've come into, maybe people don't understand that you're taking over something that has a history. So in various areas, you've made tremendous progress, and I want to commend you on that. And then also, with some of this, some of what I'm hearing, I need to commend you on your professionalism, because it sounds like a script from a movie. So once again, you're doing a great job. We're willing to support you. There is a community here of professionals that is grassroots. We're watching, and once again, we commend you. Thanks a lot. Have a beautiful evening.
Robert Womack, followed by Rufus W. Granderson.
Womack's not here.
Thank you. Rufus W. Granderson.
Yes.
Followed by Seth Moore.
Good evening. Proud graduate of Iowa Hills. I was at the last meeting, and the discussion of possible live streaming of the general board meeting. And I asked, please advise. I've heard cussing, threats, and horrific name calling while sitting here as a guest. Please advise. Why would we want to live stream that? Who does that benefit to show adults slinking insults and disrespectful statements amongst themselves? Please advise. In the name of professional service and decorum, who in good conscience would like to put such openly degrading behavior on display? Showing inflammatory exchanges between board members and the public can not only be unsavory, but potentially dangerous because of socially and emotionally unstable members of our community and those in our crowd also. Allowing personal agendas of individual board members to interfere with systematic change and progression is not good. We must identify a broad level of competency amongst our board members to justify multiple sessions of dialogue of previously thought to be resolved issues. If there is not one in place, we need to develop some type of metric that allows all members of the board to be evaluated independently by their judgment calls that may or may not cause stagnation or discord between the board members themselves and our community. Our children, parents, and teachers deserve unified responsibility and effort from our entire school board. We must discontinue putting our least attractive foot forward when we gather on behalf of our brilliant scholars in Grand Rapids Public Schools. There are hundreds of good-hearted staff and community members who work tirelessly on behalf of all of our children. I am ultimately suggesting that we provide a larger and much louder platform for the many good things that our staff, administrators, and board members are doing. Our families deserve to be guided towards the rainbows instead of standing in puddles with us as adults arguing about how much it rained.
Sophomore?
Hello, this is Seth Moore. As a member of the Parent Transportation Advisory Committee, I wanted to respond to some of the information I saw on the slides tonight. The narrative provided by Dean really does not reflect the reality that the parents, staff, and community are experiencing. We've asked for better metrics. The metrics that we have been provided by Dean Transportation are showing the time the bus arrives to the school and the time the bus leaves. That isn't what parents are asking for. We've been asking for over a year to see when students are dropped off at their stop, how early and how late. Why is that so difficult? I don't understand why we keep having to ask for these very simple marked metrics, because how can we improve the experience for our children if we can't measure it? It's incredibly frustrating to hear them talk about all of these improvements of, oh, we might do this with tablets. Again, a thing we brought up in Parent Transportation Advisory Committee was talking about the inefficiency of a paper system where kids are checked in and off the bus via paper thing, and also that routes are reviewed via paper. So a bus driver is supposed to look at this piece of paper and identify if this child is supposed to go to the stop. And that has been the source of issues for my family and other families where a route change happened and somebody didn't give the new piece of paper to the driver. This isn't efficient. Dean Transportation is supposed to be a logistics company. They're supposed to be doing things efficiently and leveraging technology to get it done right. I don't see that. And I hope that we can get there. And I just don't see how we're getting there. There's been no improvement in this in the past year since I was part of the Parent Transportation Advisory Committee. And I don't see the point of trying to continue to fight on that committee when none of the parents' suggestions were listened to. The only items that were brought forward and implemented were ones that Luke would directly be able to control. Anything that involved Dean didn't happen. Thank you.
Okay, that completes our public comment for the night. Moving on to superintendent's comments.
Good evening again, once again, everybody. A reminder to our community overall, next Monday at Southwest Middle High, we are doing our fall coffee with the board. It is an informal opportunity to have conversations with our board members, and I think the time is 5:30 to 6:30. So it'll be an hour if you're wanting to come out. Certainly, we invite you to do that and have coffee or water, or I think we are doing lemonade too, because 5:30 is kind of late for coffee. We are doing our kickoff of our turkey trot in the next couple of days, and that's move your feet before you eat on Thanksgiving morning. I had to say that a little slow. So we hope that you will consider either donating or participating in the turkey trot. It is a fun event on Thanksgiving morning. Football Frenzy, just a quick reminder, on Friday morning. And please certainly drop off your canned items for our community. It is also, we are on the eve of Hispanic Heritage Month. That takes place from September 15th into October 15th. And this is a celebration of our Latino and folks of Hispanic heritage, where you'll see lots of different things taking place across our community. Also, a reminder that our Smart Art Prize will be taking place this Sunday at the, thank you, Studio Park. And this is where our GRPS Brilliant Artists will be awarded scholarships, and their art will be on display as we go into the Art Prize for the fall. And Peace Education Week, just as a reminder to kind of always keep the peace. And we as adults have to model what we expect from our children and our community. And so that concludes my announcements for this evening.
Wonderful. Board member comments. Can we start with Ms. Melton?
I don't have comments tonight, thank you.
Okay. Ms. Shockey?
Just a welcome to our student reps who are no longer with us, but such a delight to have student voice at the board table. I've had the pleasure of knowing Fabiola and sitting courtside as I watched her play volleyball over the last couple of years. So really cool as a board member to see a familiar face of a student on the board. Welcome and congrats to our new leadership, also not here, but hopefully they'll watch. We are so grateful for their leadership in the district and wish them an incredible year and beyond. Also just want to commend the district for the fill rate at Ottawa Hills High School. I've said this before, but when I arrived at this district nearly 8 years ago, our superintendent, Neil, said when we do right by Ottawa Hills, we do right by Grand Rapids Public Schools. And to see that movement happen is extraordinary. So let's keep doing that kind of equity-focused work in this district. And lastly, I just want to thank Dean for the conversation tonight and the transparency about the complexity of our district. We know that that is a piece of a system that needs to be fixed, and this board and the board of the future will need to wrestle with that. So we know that there's work ahead there too. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez?
I am a little tired today because I stayed up watching the Lions last night. It was a great game. It was worth. So if I look a little rough up here, I'm sorry. It's been a long day at work too. But no, that was a great game yesterday. Though y'all stayed up, right, and watched it overtime. All right, love it. No, I'm excited to be starting. Really getting into the groove of the school year. It's always a great time to come back to school. And see our teachers and see our students back. And I personally, I work at Godwin Heights Middle School. I've still tried my best to check in on my GRPS folks. But I'm just glad that we're all back and past Labor Day weekend, and now we can really get into the mix. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, our new leaders in our district, my board colleagues. This is not easy work, and maybe a lot of us maybe do a little too much more than we ought to take on, right? But we're all passionate about this work, and I feel it every single day. So I just want to say thank you to my board colleagues today as well. So that's it.
Yes, I just want to extend my gratitude to all the teachers and all of the difficulties they have when school first starts up. I was a teacher myself, and I remember those days as very difficult, and getting to know the kids, getting to know their names, and making sure you have the right books in the right school and the right classroom. So I know how frustrating that is, and I am sorry those things happen for people. Another thing I'd like to do, though, tonight is to thank Dr. Roby for the incredible amount of work that she does for this school district. Every week she sends out a superintendent's note to all the board members, and she lists all the things that she has done during that last week. And I say to myself, how does she find the time? And I am so proud of you, and I am so happy. And I'm so happy that many of us got a chance to make the right decision and hire you a week before COVID started.
Perfect timing.
Yes, it was.
Ms. Wade?
Trying to wait till last, Jordan? Oh.
Oh, it's just.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was waiting till the end.
I'm sorry.
get blamed for everything, man.
Oh, I also want to shout out Mr. Maben over at Ottawa Hills for his efforts to fill his school with teachers. That is amazing news. I was very proud to hear about. And I did shoot him an email, but I let him know I'm a polar bear at heart, but for the first time ever, I have rooted for Ottawa Hills. I also want to shout out Mr. Smith, the art teacher at Ottawa Hills. If I'm friends with him on Facebook, and his stories always highlight the amazing work he's doing in his class. And just to see the students engaged in art and different types of art, they're doing poetry, they're doing I don't know, taking pictures, all types of different things. Is so dope, and I think I'm gonna try to get in on one of his art classes one day. It was refreshing to hear something positive from some of our not so positive commenters today. I really appreciated just hearing something that is going well. And I just want to leave you guys with something that I hear often from a great leader: good enough isn't. So this board, this school district is not striving for good enough, and excellence is the standard, and we will get there. We are getting there, and I'm proud of that. Your turn, Jordan.
All right, got a couple things. Also, congratulations to Ottawa. I think that is amazing to see the work that Dr. Maven has been putting in, and also what he has been personally doing to help recruit with that, along with the district help. And so that everyone is HR thing is real. That's also to our community as well, as we continue to do that same type of push for our other schools as well. I want to also congratulate the student representation that we have now on the board and the new third. I like that it's going to be able to rotate to get all of those students an opportunity. Also to the new staff, congratulations as well, as we were able to honor you. And I think that's something I would like to see more of, as we can continue to praise the work that our teachers and staff are doing in this district. As much as we know it can be tough to hear the criticism, I think it's also good for morale and attitude to be able to speak up and give them their flowers as they deserve. Thanks again to the foundation, the GRPS Foundation. Seriously, you heard the stats on what type of giving that this community provides to provide resources to our scholars in sports. That's amazing. The opportunities that they provide to actually invest in our teachers in a different but yet organic way is also something to be recommended as the standard, and also something that we also ask that you partner and continue to do that so they can do more. They can do as much as we are able to give and contribute to that. And so whoever's looking and watching from the internet skies to really continue to invest in us as we continue to uplift our district and the staff and teachers. I'm really hopeful for the change that we keep seeing that is happening. It's not as probably fast as everyone would like to see it, but it's still change, and change that we're chipping away. And so I'm really thankful for the staff, the teachers, the community, for sticking with us through these trying times. It takes that commitment. It takes us to really be able to hold each other accountable and strive to get it right, so we can see this isn't about any of us, but about this next generation of workforce that are being educated right now. So the more that we can work collaboratively to get some things done, the better and greater the impact that they have. And that's what it's about. And so I'm happy to see that we are dedicated to doing that work collectively as a whole.
Thank you. And I do not have any additional comments tonight. So at this time, I would like to just ask if anybody has a motion to move into closed
Yes.
session.
I move that the board go into closed session for the purpose of a strategy and negotiation session connected with the negotiations of various collective bargaining groups at the request of the superintendent as permitted by the Open Meetings Act, Section 8, 1C.
Do I have a second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.